My most humble pranams at the lotus feet of our beloved Lord Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. Sai Ram to all. In the previous episode, I described how I got my transfer and we decided to come to Puttaparthi. We packed all our belongings and on the 11th of March, we arrived in Puttaparthi. We took a small house on the main road where the police station is now situated. So we could often see Swami whenever he went out in the car. And in April, when the school closed, Kanak came home and we had wonderful darshans. In the morning, he would come with me for morning darshan. And after the darshan, when people went to have their breakfast, he would not come back, but he would go and sit inside the mandir with all the older bhajan boys. He would somehow squeeze in and find a place next to them, and they'd allowed him to sit in between. He would be there until the bhajans were over, and only after that I would pick him up and we would go back home. In those days, once the interviews were over, Swami would very often take another round outside, or he would walk into the mandir and talk to the people inside. Mostly he would stand and speak with the students who were seated inside, and once the bhajan started, Swami would come in and sit on his throne. This is the normal bhajan routine. Kanak was very fond of sitting and he tried to sing all the bhajans, and the boys, they were very indulgent with him. Swami would also very often talk to him or pat him on his cheeks. When the bhajans were over and when Swami got down from the rostrum, he would look at Kanak and very often he would pinch his cheek or pat him on his cheeks. And then when Kanak came home, he would tell me, Amma, smell my cheek, smell my cheek. Swami patted me on my cheek today. And it was so unique, his cheeks had the most beautiful fragrance of Swami's hands, And this little fellow would not wash his face unless I threatened him with dire consequences, He wouldn't wash his face at all, because he wanted that fragrance of Swami's hands to remain on his cheeks. This whole year in 1985, Swami did not go to Whitefield that year because the Hillview Stadium was getting ready for the grand 60th birthday of Bhagavan in November. And after bhajans, Swami would every day go out in the car, visit the stadium, look at the work going on and then come back. And all devotees after bhajans would rush to line up on both sides of the road so that we could see Swami going by and have again another two darshans, going and coming, we would all get darshan of Swami again. This was a normal routine every day for Swami that whole year. And it was at this time that my father got a heart attack and I had to go home to Kerala to see him. He was hospitalized, he was in the ICU. He had just recently started his own pharmaceutical manufacturing company and he was so involved in it and it had not really taken off. It was in the initial stages. And that time, students always ask permission from Swami before they go or before they leave Prashanti Nilayam. So I sat in line and I wrote a letter to Swami and I said, Swami, he has not seen his dreams fulfilled. Please extend his life by another 5 years. You can take 10 years of my life, but please let him see his dreams come true. So when Swami came near me, he took my letter and I asked him permission to go home and see him. Swami said, yes, go and come, he said. So I went to Calicut where my house is and I was with him in the hospital for a few days. He became a little better, his condition stabilized and later on I came back to Puttaparthi. Actually, I did not know that Swami had answered my prayers because exactly 5 years later, At the same time, he had another massive heart attack and he passed away. So Swami did give me that boon of extension of 5 years for my father. We were living in Puttaparthi, and before I came to Puttaparthi, when I was praying to Swami for the transfer, I was always telling Swami, Swami, this time I will not ask for interviews, I will not ask for Padnamaskar, I will not ask anything, Swami. I just want to see you and live here for the rest of my life. This was my actual prayer to Swami. After we came and settled down here, you know the usual thing. You see so many people getting interviews, so many people getting Path Namaskar, and the desire slowly started to come up in my heart, Swami, I would also like an interview, I have come here just to be near you, and these prayers were going on. At this time, we had moved into another little house on Samadhi Road. This house was quite small, but on the terrace upstairs, it was completely filled with jasmine and beautiful fragrant flowers. So what I would do is every day in the afternoon, I would go up to the terrace, pick all the flowers, put it in a bag, and with a needle and thread, I would come for darshan. Those days it was not so strict. People could carry books and stuff and sit inside the mandir grounds. So when I would be there, the time between the afternoon darshan and before the bhajan started, there would be a gap of about 2 hours. So this gave me the time to make garlands from the flowers I had collected. And I would come home and put the garland in our puja room on all the pictures of Swami. So I used to do this every day. At this time also, I was reading Kasturi sir's The Loving God. And I was so enchanted with his stories and the proximities and the blessings that Bhagavan had given him in those olden days, how close access was given to the devotees at that time. In one of those chapters, he describes how Swami would give Pada Seva to the devotees. The husband and the wife would sit in front of Swami, and on a beautiful plate they would place Swami's lotus feet, and then they would wash it and do archana on it, saying whatever prayers they wanted to say. This was very often given to very many devotees of those days. So when I read about it, I thought, my God, what a privilege, what a blessing. Imagine doing puja literally to Bhagavan's lotus feet. And this stayed in my mind, And also, in those days, Swami used to wear robes of different shades, like many shades of orange. Sometimes a peach colored one, sometimes a deeper orange, sometimes light orange. Many different robes Swami had at that time. He had one particular pale peach colored robe, and whenever Swami wore it, he looked so beautiful in it, He looked exactly like my Krishna. And I had once told in my mind, Swami, if you ever call me for an interview, please be wearing this peach robe. I would love to touch it and see it up close. So anyway, I had gone for darshan that particular day, and in the afternoon I had this huge bag of jasmine flowers, needle and thread and everything in my bag. And when Swami came out for afternoon darshan, he called a few people for interview. And when he passed me by, he said, "You, Kerala girl, you go," he said. I couldn't believe it, but I immediately got up and I gestured to my mother-in-law and to my husband, and we all went up to the veranda. So Swami did the darshan rounds, and then he came up to the veranda, and then he ushered us into the interview room. I had my bag of flowers and needle and thread and everything with me. So we were seated inside, and Swami, as usual, started speaking to the devotees, asking them, blessing them, creating, lockets and rings for some of the blessed ones there. When it was our turn to be called into the second room where he conducts the private interviews for each particular family, Swami was seated on his chair, and as soon as we went inside, Swami, just touched his robe, and he, slowly shook it and said, "See, I have worn the peach colored robe that you like so much." And I couldn't hold back my smile, and I had tears in my eyes, and I said, "Yes, Swami, I noticed it." And, I gently put my hand on his robe. And then Swami started speaking to us. He spoke to my husband, and he spoke to my mother-in-law. And then Swami said, "I brought you here, didn't I? 19 years of sadhana you did in 1 year. Then what could Swami do? Swami had to bless you and bring you here." And Swami is very happy at the amount of sadhana that both of you did. Now you can stay here. You don't have to go anywhere. And when you die, I will throw you in the Chitravati river. This was Swami's words to me. Then when he was finishing the interview, he got up, and then I remembered that I had the flowers in my bag, and very gently, today I shiver when I think of what I dared to do. I very gently pushed Swami, and he said, "Swami, please sit down for a few minutes." And then Swami smiled, and he sat back on the throne, and he said, Yes, I know you have flowers in your bag and you want to do Pada Puja to me." "Okay," he said. And Swami stretched out his feet and put it on the footstool. And I took out the flowers from the bag, and my husband and I, we sat there and did Swami's Ashtottara Namam, both of us together. And Swami very gently, very beautifully, he sat there with his face resting on his hand, and he was smiling, so tenderly, just enjoying it. So we did that Ashtottaram, and then what happened was, I had a habit of placing my cheek at Swami's feet. I love to do my Padnamaskar in that way. So I took off my glasses, put it on the floor, and I placed my cheeks at his feet, and then I don't remember what happened after that. So later on, my husband told me that Swami was looking down at me, and then very gently he pulled out his feet from under my face and put both the feet on my head. And then Swami got up and he told my husband, "Pick up all the flowers and put it in the bag. This is not allowed here anymore. This was a special blessing given to you and your wife." And Swami walked out of the room. So when I came to, my husband had cleared all the flowers, and we came out of the interview. This was a very, very special, unforgettable interview in my life. Even to this day, I have kept those dried up flowers in a little bag in my altar. Sai Ram, I hope you all enjoyed my stories. Please share, subscribe, and share my stories with other Sai devotees. May Bhagwan profusely bless all of you. Om Shri Sai Ram.